Hi, welcome to grokonline.com. I'm Farinder Jagannath. This session is about ITIL service management practice. Starting with IT service management, most often it is represented in short ITSM. It's all about implementation and management of a quality IT services that meets the needs of a business or the end user. IT service management is being performed by an IT service provider, and usually with right mix of use of people, process, and the information technology that's in a hardware and the software. IT service provider is a service provider that provides the IT services to your internal or an external customers. So if you are a captive company and you are providing any services to your end users, and if you have one of your own team providing some service within your own organization, then for them you become the internal customer. And if you provide any services to some customer who is outside your organization, then those all customers would be your external customers. Best practice: if some practice is being provided by a company saying that if you follow this practice and they're going to get the success on that, so if those been adapted and it been followed, and if more and more success been happening by following that particular practice, and that eventually turn out to be in a best practice, and if that best practice is being adapted and being used by multiple organizations or multiple resources across, then that becomes the common best practice. There are two types of practices that could be in a public, or one could be in a proprietary. But if it is in a proprietary practice, then it would be difficult to adapt, and very high possibility that you may not have any very clear documents whatever it is required. Usually somebody would be interested in proprietary practice if they are all in the same kind of a business or industry or same nature of a business. So usually if you are following the proprietary knowledge or using proprietary practices, then the owners probably would expect some level of a compensation or in a goodwill. If it is in a public standards and the framework, it would be widely used across. So there would be a lot of public training, and the certifications would be available. And since it's in a free and publicly available, there would be a lot of human resources available in this market, and very easy to identify them. So if just in case if you need any resources from external, then you would always be able to find them. Service management: if you remember the early videos, we were talking about what is the resources and what is the capabilities. Resources are all direct inputs, or something like a financial capital, infrastructure, applications, information, people, where the capabilities would be management, organization, process, knowledge, and some resources, the human resources who got trained to do a specific task. So people is the one thing which comes out in both resources as well as in the capabilities. But the point to be noted, whether it's in the capabilities or the resources, both comes under the service assets. And the service assets is the one which provides the services. On performing the services which is going to have a value or create the service assets, and eventually that going to create a value to a business. So the business outcome and the value what we provide to a business outcome by a service assets is directly proportional to the capabilities and the resource of your organizations. This is all being handled by a service management. Service management practice: the truth is there is no single service management practice available that can fit every company in the world, and the reasons would be many. Because of the local authorities, there would be a certain local authorities regulations which has to be followed, and it has to be compiled. So when service management practices which would be defined, they would define on a generic rules and regulations which has to be followed across all over the globe. So there are certain standards, something like ISO 9000, ISO 20000, and there are some industry practice best practices like ITIL, CMMI, PMBOK. They provide the guidelines which has been followed across all over the industry, and it all proven that by following these industry best practices, you have a high possibility of getting the success and having a great visibility of a return on investments. And there are many academic research as well. Somebody can definitely review them, go through them, and take the inputs from those research. There are a lot of training and educations which are available online. There are many trainings which are available related to a service management. Internal experience, eventually that would happen, and these are all called as a proprietary knowledge. So since there is no service management practices which could fit all the needs of one specific company, so there would be definitely a new or a proprietary knowledge would be has to develop which suits your organization needs. Okay, the primary reasons to highlight this particular slide is to showcase that since there is no service management practice which could meet all your company organization needs, the reasons was there would be definitely your local authorities, rules and regulations which has to be followed, and your company has to compile with those regulations. So for example, I just gave an example here on this slide about Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is popularly known as an SOC, which has been introduced in 2002 by US government, just to make sure that there is no fraud happen at the corporate level, and investors having a lot of interest on the US corporate world. That's act which has been introduced for a primary reason and this has to be followed by all the US public trade companies, not just the US public trade companies, but as well as the subsidiary companies of any foreign companies in US, and any private companies that are preparing for an IPO has to be compiled. If some company failed to do so, they would be probably having a $1 million dollars of fine and 20 years of in a jail. If there is any intentionally defraud the investors, if that been identified or found, then there could be a fine or a penalty of $5 million and 20 years of in a jail. There are certain rules which has been given, 6 rules which has been given. By an SOC. That's in the top level management officers like the CEO has to sign on the financial statement for an accuracy. So somebody has to, whoever make the sign that who is going to take the accountability for that, somebody has to review and ensure that the financial statement is accurate. So just in case if you are in the top level management, if somebody will ask you to make a sign on the financial statement, you have to be really cautious. You have to make sure, you have to review, and you have to ensure that the financial statement is accurate and there is no issues with that. The reason was you are going to be accountable for that, just in case if there is an issue within a financial statement which has been published or shared within a shareholders. It's not just about the fines, but it's also about the years of imprisonment, so have to be really cautious about that. There are certain things which has been guidelines provided by a SOX that first it increase the fines and sentence for the individual who attempts for defraud, and the company must provide the descriptions of its internal control so that the stakeholders or the investors can have a better understanding on your company. And the companies are independent and and has the responsibility of appointing the external auditor and get the audit done. And audit reports, whatever it would be generated, it has to be shared across to all the stakeholders. Not just the financial statement, but all the balance sheet transactions must be reported. So financial statement would be usually at a very high level. It is expected that not at the balance sheet transactions must also be reported, just in case somebody wanted to refer, any stakeholder could also refer them. There is an agency called SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, which has been given more investigating power. So they can always reach out to the companies asking for more information, asking for an audit reports, and asking for any other information what it is required. So all legal entities of the company has a responsibility of providing the information whatever it is being requested by SEC. Thanks for watching this video. Looking forward. See you in the next video.